Thank you, Barbara. So to wrap up the evening and our final award, we will be presenting the Lifetime Achievement Award. And joining us is Allison Cohen. Allison teaches AP Government at Langley High School nearby in Virginia and attended Street Law's Supreme Court Summer Institute for Teachers in 2011. Allison, thanks.
Hello, thank you so much. Yes, I'm Allison Cohen, and it is my pleasure tonight to announce Street Law's Lifetime Achievement Award. Each year, Street Law recognizes and celebrates individuals and websites this year who have dedicated their careers to empowering others through education about the law, democracy, and human rights. Since its conception in 2002, SCOTUSblog has made the U.S. Supreme Court accessible to millions of people. One of the things that I love most about SCOTUSblog is their commitment to providing content for all types of audiences. The writers have a unique ability to make information about every stage in the process, from petitions to cert, to the merits briefs, to the arguments, to the decisions themselves, accessible without ever oversimplifying the issues. Each year, the AP Government students at my school prepare a mock oral argument for a case currently on the court's docket. In preparing for this project, I know that SCOTUSblog is the first place my students go to really get a handle on the case that we chose that year. As a government teacher, SCOTUSblog is my go-to resource for the Supreme Court, and the Friday Roundup has certainly become a part of my weekly routine. And if they weren't busy enough, they also live blog and tweet from opinions and oral arguments, as well as host online forums. And yes, I was one of the tens of thousands of people who logged online to their blog the day that the Affordable Care Act cases were decided. I also found out earlier this evening that about 2 weeks ago, they just received some great news and were awarded a Peabody. Fantastic. Although I'm sure that's nothing in comparison to the award that you're receiving tonight. In addition to the rich content provided, SCOTUSblog helps enhance Street Law's professional development programs for teaching about the Supreme Court. Every summer, at the Supreme Court Summer Institute for Teachers, participating educators benefit from a number of SCOTUSblog contributors who volunteer as featured speakers and resource experts. So without any further delay, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Tom Goldstein, co-founder and publisher of SCOTUSblog.
Thank you all very much. I got the long straw of being able to say you a few words of thank you, even though it's really Amy Howe, who is our editor, who makes the blog run every day. The bad news for you all is that I am a Supreme Court litigator, and I have the podium, and I have an audience that feels obliged not to interrupt with 176 questions. I'm also aware, though, that I am the last thing that stands between you and your families, so I have 4 brief points to make. The first is a super tiny point of personal privilege, and that is the following, and that is a couple of weeks ago I had the slight misfortune of, while we were on spring break with my family in another country where I don't speak the language, of having a pulmonary embolism. I'm going to be totally fine. It is, however, a little worrisome thing. It has a principal side effect of killing you, and it did not do that here. But Amy and I were trained by Nina Totenberg, who was concerned about us, and she called the head of communications for a major hotel company, and a person who did not know us from Adam, and a hotel company that had no experience with us, and said, "These people are staying at your hotel in this country, will you help them?" And they mobilized unbelievable resources, teams of people getting my stepmother in to come get our children and take them back to the United States and everything like that. And in the small world category, that communications head was Kathleen Matthews, and that company was Marriott. So that's they did not know us, but I will never stay at another hotel. I have three other points. The first is, of course, to complain. Lee Arbitman, who's the executive director of Street Law, called me a few years ago and said, look, we'd love for you to come and talk about the Supreme Court with our teachers in our summer institute. He said, I don't really have anything to offer you except for the following, and that is the person who preceded you was John Roberts. And John Roberts used to come every summer, and after he did this for a few years, he became the Chief Justice of the United States. So I get a call a few months ago, and it's Lee, and he says, Tom, I have some good news. And I'm thinking, right? I haven't heard anything. I haven't read it on the blog. And instead, what I get is a Lifetime Achievement Award for the blog. Now, I am 42 years old. Amy is younger than that. And I kind of think we're not quite done yet. And when someone gives you a Lifetime Achievement Award, you begin to imagine that people think, well, they've done what they can. It's time to just encourage them to move off the stage. So that's my complaint. The third point that I have is just to tell you a touch about us and how it relates to what it is that you all do in your daily work and how it is that you can influence educators and influence children. We do have the great good fortune. People like the Supreme Court. The court's obviously important. This term we're getting same-sex marriage. We are getting the constitutionality of the Voting Rights Act and affirmative action, and everything that we thought was settled, or that could have been settled at the time the Constitution was written or soon thereafter, you would imagine, is back again. And the answers are changing. That's all to the good. The justices are extremely smart people. They're hilarious. They smell good. Anything that I can say complimentary about the justices. But what we're able to do is we convey what it is that we know about the Supreme Court through the blog and through having the opportunity to come to the summer program. And what you as attorneys or educators, what you do in being able to convey what you know to students seems to me, to have an even more tangible impact, to be honest, than the blog, which it's a tool in your hands. And the information that you're able to convey to students is even more material to their individual lives, the touching stories that we've heard today. And so I think there's a direct parallel between what we do today and what it is that you do in your lives to work with students. The fourth thing I just want to say is thank you, and that is I want to thank two different sets of people. For Street Law, it's incredibly kind. It's a tremendous honor to us, notwithstanding the caveats that I added earlier, that it means a great deal to us because we believe very much in the organization. We work with it every year, and to be recognized not just as a website that's directed at lawyers, but we try very hard, and Amy in particular, to be able to communicate to young people, to people who haven't graduated from college, to everybody in the United States, given the importance of the court. I will also add one tiny further thanks, and that is I had the incredible opportunity to be a partner at Aiken Gump and to have to make decisions about what organizations to support, and in a more difficult time for law firms to go in and say, we need to write a check for a particular organization is not the easiest thing to do, and there are choices that have to be made. It helps when companies like GE and Marriott are encouraging their partner law firms. That's always a nice thing to be able to say. But nonetheless, the decisions that the people who are at these tables made to support this organization was an investment by you all that I think was a good one. So we are very grateful, and I appreciate getting to be here with you this evening. Thank you.
Well, in our summer program, I have the good sense to introduce Tom and not try to follow him because he's very funny. It's always a problem. I'm Lee Arbitman. I'm the Executive Director of Street Law. Thanks so much to all of you for being here. You've got one more minute, and then you're going to be on your way. I want to thank our host committee for their help making tonight's dinner really our most successful dinner ever. I want to thank Street Law's staff and all of our board of directors, and especially Allison Hawkins, who's sort of our guru, who works her magic and gets this dinner to happen every year. And Allison and the Street Law team did a great job. Please join me in thanking Kathleen Matthews, our wonderful MC, for being with us tonight. I want to congratulate all of our award winners and especially our amazing young people who did such a great job tonight and showed why we're all so optimistic about the future. And finally, thanks to all of you who are here to help celebrate Street Law's achievements. Street Law really has a small but mighty staff, but we have a mighty big agenda and mission, and there's no way that we could succeed in the U.S. and around the world without our partners. Our teachers, our lawyers, our law students, our judges, our police officers, all the people who come into street law classes and contribute every day to making street law real for young people make all the difference. Without you, we would have a much smaller footprint on civic learning. Thanks very much. Drive safely. Hope to see you again next spring.